Hi, in this video I would like to speak about city government itself and how that works in Charlottesville. As most people know, we have what's called a city manager form of government. This is a very common model for cities our size. The notion is that city council hires, provides general direction and oversight to, and then ultimately holds accountable a single professional, the city manager, whose job is to oversee the city machinery, as it were, all the people that work for the city, to implement policy set by city council. Some have called for what's called known colloquially as a strong mayor form of government. I think that the calls for this came out specifically after the events of August 2017. I personally don't see the value in that or the need to do it for a number of reasons. First of all, it would take an act of the General Assembly to pull that off, which would be it's hard to imagine that actually happening. Secondly, I think that there's a risk it would overly politicize the role, because you'd have the two functions of leading the whole city in terms of the day-to-day government, and then someone who has a political power as well. I think too there's a concern, at least in my mind, of being able to find a single person that combines both the political mandate of the entire populace with the technical skills to get the job done. Finally, I think that if you had a change at the top of what's essentially the chief executive of the city every 4 years, that would be hard on city employees in terms of uncertainty. So I think that if the city council can develop a good, strong relationship with the new city manager, Dr. Richardson, that we can continue to make our model of government work just fine. It'll take work to build a strong relationship, and we should all wish Dr. Richardson the best as he comes on board to help to manage and lead our city. One last thing, though, I think it's worth just sort of asking this question. In general, what is the role and function of city government itself? Many people, me included, often will say that the city should do this or the city should do that, and maybe the city should. Again, the city can't do everything, and so I think it's worth asking the question, what are the most essential things? It seems to me the most essential thing, there are two, but the first one would be that the city is the entity in the community that has ultimate actual enforcing power to make things happen. So if you think about public safety, criminal justice, land use and taxes, those things fall under the city government's remit. And then the other piece, though, is setting the conditions, going back to the idea of the common good, setting the conditions. And this involves not just the city alone, but working with nonprofits, working with individuals, working with activists, working with community partners in other jurisdictions, setting the conditions so that the entire community can thrive and flourish. And this often gets down to essentially budgeting, setting priorities, deciding what we're going to spend money on. Here, it's not just a budgeting process, it's also having a machinery, having a city government, specifically city employees, that know how to work in an efficient and competent manner to make sure money is spent well. I think if we just remember these things, it would help Charlottesville to work better in the future and for our city to prosper and thrive. Thank you for taking the time to watch.